All right, everybody, we're trying this again. Yesterday's video got corrupted. File somehow, I don't know, but it had no sound. So we're trying this again. I have to redo it completely. But we have another deck showcase by Wood, Lady Octo eggs. It is an eggs deck, so a lot of little artifacts. And the commander for this deck today is Lady Octopus. Inspired Inventor. It's a 0/2 for 1. Whenever you draw your first or second card each turn, put an Ingenuity counter on Lady Octopus, and then you may cast an artifact spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the number of Ingenuity counters on Lady Octopus without paying its mana cost. This deck is going to revolve around replaying and recurring a whole bunch of little tiny artifacts, kind of non-deterministically, like the deck that got its namesake from, and then eventually winning the game. We've got Tezzeret Cruel Captain in here. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on him. You can untap an artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. Insert your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less. And you can get an emblem that turns your artifacts into dudes with 3 1/1 counters on it. We have Tezzeret the Seeker. You can +1 it to untap 2 target artifacts. -X, search your library for an artifact with mana value X or less. And you can -5 artifacts you control become 5/5s. That's one way to win right there. So then our creatures, we only have 14. We have Apprentice Wizard. You can tap 1 blue and tap it to add 3 colorless mana. This helps us with our various artifacts that we will have below. We have Arcbound Crusher, which is a 0/0 for 4 with trample, and whenever another artifact comes into play, you put a 1/1 counter on Arcbound Crusher, and that has modular 1 when it comes into a play with a 1/1 counter on it. It's put into a graveyard. You may put its 1/1 counters on another target artifact creature. Since we have a whole bunch of these eggs, this can be a win count. You can also divvy these up things. Arcbound Reclaimer, remove a 1/1 counter from Arcbound Reclaimer. Put target artifact card from your graveyard on top of your library. So with this, you can get recur some of your little eggs that are in the bin. We have Cyberdrive Awakener, flying. Other artifact creatures you control have flying, and when this creature enters, each non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature until turn. This is also a win con right here because we have a billion little artifacts that you'll see below. We have Draw Scorpion. Whenever it or another artifact is put into the graveyard from play, you can untap an artifact. Emery of the Lock, affinity for artifacts. When it enters, you mill, and then you can choose an artifact card in your graveyard and cast it. Forensic Gadgeteer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you investigate, which allows you to create clue tokens, which of course tap 2, tap them, sack them, draw a card. And activated abilities for artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. It does not reduce it to less than 1. We have Kildel the Forge Master. Sacrifice 3 artifacts. Search your library for an artifact. Put it on the battlefield. So tutor ability for our little artifacts. We have Mirren Spy. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may untap target creature. Sage of Natlam. Sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. Sai, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless opter. This is one of those ways that works with Cyberdrive Awakener, because you can cast and recur a bunch of your artifacts to generate a billion D tokens, and then just overrun people with 4/4. Scrap Trawler. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with less mana value. We have Thought Monitor. Affinity lets you draw 2 cards when it comes into play. Think of like Mull Drifter artifact. We have Vildalk and Archmage. Whenever you play an artifact spell, you draw a card. With all the recursion and little eggs that we're going to be playing, you're going to be able to draw through a bunch of the deck. Sorceries. Thoughtcast, Affinity, draw 2. Fabricate lets you tutor artifact and put it in your hand. Gitaxian Probe, you can look at somebody's hand and draw a card. Reconstruction, you can bring an artifact back from your graveyard to your hand and reshape. You can sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with X or less and put it into the battlefield to show the library. It's just worse tinker. For our instance, we have Dramatic Reversal, which is untap all your non-land permanents. This is really good because a lot of our artifacts will be tapping to do stuff. Flusterstorm, counter target insert sorcery spell unless it's control 1 has Storm. Paradoxical outcome. Return any number of target non-land token permanents you control to their own hand. Draw permanent return this way. Which you can do these things and then replay them. You can and in this deck, scour for scrap, search your library for an artifact, put it into your hand, shuffle, or return an artifact from your hand. Spell swindle, you counter a spell, create X colorless treasure tokens, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. They have tap, sacrifice. Here's this command: creatures you don't control get -2/-0. Create a power stone token. Create a construct. I would probably create the construct, and then scry one, draw a card. Word of invention: improvise, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 3 less. Put it into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Now for the eggs and other fun things. Aether Spellbomb. You can pop it to either draw a card or return a creature to its owner's hand. Astrolabe. You tap and sack it. Lets you add a color of any color to your mana pool. Play it alias interrupt, and then you get the cantrip, so you draw a card at the beginning. Upkeep. We have Barbed Sextant, which is you pay 1, sacrifice it. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and again you cantrip draw at the beginning of the next turn. Upkeep. Oh boy, friends, I think I got all my ER bills in the mail. We have Chromatic Sphere. Tap, sack it. Add a mana of any color, draw a card. Same with Chromatic Star. Pocket Omens. You can tap 2 artifacts you control to untap target artifact. We have Commander Sphere. You can add a mana of any color, and you can sacrifice the Commander Sphere to draw a card. And then we have Conjurer's Bauble. You can sacrifice it to put 1 target card from your graveyard onto the bottom of your library, and then draw a card. Then we have ourselves Cryogenic Relic. When this artifact enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Sacrifice this artifact, put a stun counter on up to 1 target that creature. We do have Salvaging Station in here, which is return a non-creature artifact card. Convert a mana cost 1 or less from your graveyard to the play. That allows you, and then whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may untap Salvaging Station. So, you know, you can cast a bunch of your stuff, get a bunch of these Thopters, sacrifice them to Karkalan Ironworks to get a bunch of mana, and then use the Salvaging Station repeatedly to untap more stuff. More little dorky things. We've got Crystal Skull, Isu Spyglass. You can play the top card of your, or you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can cast historic spells from the top of your library. We have Elsewhere Flask. When it enters, draw a card, sacrifice Elsewhere Flask, choose a basic land type. Each land you control becomes that type until end of turn. Encroaching Mycosynth. This is actually a really strong card. It makes it so all of your permanents in play are artifacts, and all of your permanents that aren't in play and aren't on the battlefield also are artifact. Esoteric Duplicator. Whenever you sack it or another artifact, you can pay 2 and create a copy of that token at the beginning of the next end step. Expedition Map. Sacks to search for a land. I have Ramos. You can sack it to add 1 blue mana to your mana pool. Enlightened Spellbomb. You can sack it to have a creature gain flying, or have it when it goes into the graveyard. You can play a blue to draw a card. Gerard's Hourglass. Player would take an extra turn. The player skips it, and then you can sack it. Turn to the battlefield tapped. All artifact, creature, enchantment, and land cards from your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Golden Egg. Sack it, gain 3 life, or add a mana. Guild Globe, you can sack it to draw a card. Implement of Examination, you can sack it to draw a card. And then when it's put into a graveyard, you draw a card. See, alright, so all of most of these things are little things that are either going to generate you mana, let you recast things, search for things, draw cards, all that sort of stuff. Lotus Bloom, Mistress Bauble, like all of that. We do have things like Radiant Lotus that generate a whole bunch of mana by sacrificing a bunch of permanents, and then you can add a bunch of mana. Top, a card that I despise because of how long it takes to do. If you have something like Mystical Forge in this deck, then you can just top infinitely. Skull Clamp for your little Thopter tokens. Let's see. Any other big fancy stuff? We have Uthros. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, draw a card. So you do have to be careful to not deck yourself, because there is no, like, Thassa's Oracle, and there's no it's in here. Mirrodin Besieged. You're going to want to choose Mirrodin, so whenever you cast an artifact spell, you create a artifact creature. So, yeah. With things like Salvaging Station, Krark Clan Ironworks, and some of the stuff we talked about above, you can essentially recur all of your stuff by generating mana, etc. Just, you can do all that sort of stuff. This, other ways that you can win with this is you can throw things like Brain Freeze in here as you're looping stuff. Like I said, Mystic Forge could go in the deck. For lands, we have Academy Ruins. It brings back artifacts. Buried Ruin brings back artifacts from Moria Vault. Lets you essentially look at the top and tutor something. There is a tutor. But yeah, that is the showcase for today. If you want to see your deck showcased, drop it in the comments down below. A link to your Moxfield. And then also, like, give me a little bit of a description of what the main theme and high points you want. Of course, you will get credit like Wyro did. But as always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.